All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, there's plenty to talk about in regards to the quarterback room for the Cleveland Browns post NFL draft. Now, after drafting Dillon Gabriel in the third round last week, and then Shador Sanders in the fifth round, the Browns now have themselves five quarterbacks on the roster. And even though that the Browns quarterback room is currently crowded, it's actually not that difficult to muddle through things in order to see the writing on the wall in Cleveland. Now, this is probably it for Joe Flacco, okay? Not just in Cleveland, but more than likely in the NFL overall. The 40-year-old Flacco is in his second stint with the Browns, and even though that he could be, and I do expect him at this point to be the Browns starting quarterback coming out of training camp, his primary job will be to mentor Dillon Gabriel and Shador Sanders going forward. One way or the other, I truly do believe that Deshaun Watson's days in Cleveland are numbered. As you know, we saw the Browns acquire him several years ago from the Houston Texans. And that trade, in my opinion, is right up there with the Minnesota Vikings giving the Dallas Cowboys a war chest of draft picks for Herschel Walker once upon a time as being one of the worst trades in NFL history. Okay, the Browns have restructured Watson's deal, and they can actually get from under that contract this season. We've already seen Cleveland acquire quarterback Kenny Pickett from the Philadelphia Eagles this offseason, but Cleveland has declined to pick up Pickett's fifth-year rookie option, as we're talking about a guy now who is on his third different team in just a 4-year NFL career. And that leaves the two rookie quarterbacks, the guys who were just drafted. I'm talking about Dillon Gabriel and Shador Sanders. And there's going to be some people out there who might want to anoint Shador as a Brown starting quarterback of the future. And there are definitely going to be some people who are going to say no. But one way or the other, Dillon Gabriel might have something to say about this. And I say this because we're talking about Sanders coming into the NFL with a chip on his shoulder, and I truly think he will be, due to the fact that dropped, excuse me, to the fifth round. But then, if you're Dylan Gabriel, how do you feel after you heard your name called in round number three by Cleveland, and that same organization just took a quarterback 2 rounds after you? So I think it's going to be an open competition, and I think it's one of those where those guys are going to push each other for reps. Okay, you're talking about Brown, or pardon me, Gabriel and Sanders coming to the Browns. Both of them had solid collegiate careers. Of course, Dillon Gabriel was at three schools. Shador was at two, but nonetheless, both of them did have success at all of their stops. And let's see how it's going to be able to translate to the National Football League. And of course, it's going to be interesting to see who is going to have the better pro potential between Sanders and Gabriel. I mean, Gabriel is a little bit smaller than Sanders. He's a lefty. It's one of those where if you wanted to tell me who had the stronger arm, I'm going to give that to Shador Sanders. Now, saying that, I'm not saying that Shador has a Jim Kelly, John Elway, Patrick Mahomes type arm, but if you're talking about a guy who can get it there better, out of the two, I would give that nod to Shador. Both of them are pocket passers, even though Gabriel is more mobile than Shador. But again, it's going to be interesting to see how all of these intangibles for both of these young men are able to translate to the National Football League. And I think it's kind of fitting that we're talking about the Cleveland Browns having five quarterbacks on the roster right now, because this is a team that is going through about 40 quarterbacks now, give or take, since coming back to the National Football League back in 1999. And it's something I always say, and it's something I always stand by when it comes to the NFL. General manager, head coach, quarterback. You can't have consistent turnover at those three positions within your organization as a football franchise and have success. And I mean, it's been a revolving door for Cleveland at quarterback, a revolving door at head coach, and of course, the same could be for who leads this front office. So if you're the Browns, you've got to try to figure out your quarterback position sooner rather than later. Cleveland has called the AFC North home since 2002, just like everybody else. The Browns, the Ravens, and the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Steelers. And nonetheless, they're the only team who has never won this division. All right. And that has to change sooner rather than later. But the only way that that does change is if you figure out your quarterback position. Uh, Five quarterbacks in the roster, like I said, three of them are not the long term answer for this team. Hopefully, if you're the Cleveland Browns, you have finally figured it out. Will that come from Shador? Will that come from Dillon Gabriel? Only time will tell. I mean, for these youngsters, of course, the next step is rookie camp, OTAs, and all that other stuff, and then getting ready for training camp. And let's see how the maturation process continues for both of them. But again, Cleveland Browns at some point have to get it figured out at quarterback. Will this be the year? Only time will tell. But nonetheless, fine folks, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And if you like what you heard and what you saw, please feel free to hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Guarantee you, greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365, and you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. And you can also check me out on Instagram at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. And just like it goes for Twitter, you follow me, I'll give you that follow right back. But until next time, folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.